Tell me good afternoon. Tell me good evening. Tell me good night. Tell me good morning. Tell me good afternoon. Tell me good evening. Tell me good night. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I'm Andrew. This is my Ultimate Warrior story. I think it's an understatement to say that the Ultimate Warrior was a big star in 1990. He was just about to do WrestleMania 6, where he would fight Hulk Hogan. This match was important because it was the first time two good guys actually fought in the main event of a WrestleMania. But how did I get to meet him? At a Detroit airport bar at the age of 9 years old. He was whatever age, I was 9. It was March 1990, 1 month before the Hulkster and the Ultimate Warrior would face off for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 6 at Skydome, the newly opened Skydome. But to me, it was March break. I was 9 years old and I was in grade 4. I was very excited to go to Disney World. But going to Florida was a long and arduous journey. I thought it took 10 hours to get there because we had the worst travel agent in the world. And we would always have a layover in Detroit and then another layover in Atlanta. My classmates would always be really surprised when I told them how long it takes to get to Florida. I'd be like, yeah, it takes 10 hours. Even at 9 years old, the other kids were like, no, it takes more like 3. And I said, no, well, first you have to go to Detroit. And they're like, Detroit? That's not even on the way at all. Look at a map. And then we looked at a map and I said, you're right, that's not on the way at all. But then this time it actually paid off. So we left the house. I'm guessing it was about 4 a.m. We had to get to the airport for a 7 o'clock flight. We had a layover in Detroit, first thing, and then of course a second layover in Atlanta, an hour away from our destination with a layover that lasted about 3 hours. As was the usual with our travel agent, perhaps the world's worst travel agent. So we land in Detroit. It's about 8:30 because we had only been on the plane for an hour or so. What do you do when you have a 3-hour layover at 8:30? I guess you have a breakfast, a second breakfast at this point. Where? Well, at the only restaurant that's open at that time, which was also, coincidentally, the airport bar. So as a family, we had breakfast at the Detroit Airport Restaurant Bar at about 8:30 in the morning. Now, a fun fact about airport bars are that they're open 24/7 because theoretically, there can be a nervous flyer who's on a layover from Japan or somewhere else in a different time zone, and at that point in the day, they may want to have a drink. And to them, it's not 9 o'clock in the morning, but it could be 5 p.m. But they're nervous, they have a layover, and that's why airport bars are open 24 hours a day. It's really a strange phenomenon, and it's a very interesting place. I bet they could make a TV show about airport bars. There must be all kinds of hijinks, hilarious hijinks, though it more likely would be tragedies and depressing moments, but maybe some comedy interwoven in those moments of tragedy as well. So getting back to it, we were getting ready to order our second breakfast of the day, killing time during our 3-hour layover. I looked to the left, and who's sitting at the airport bar, alone, drinking at 8:30 in the morning? None other than the Ultimate Warrior. This was my idol, but I couldn't believe it was him. When my dad said, hey, Andrew, isn't that your idol? The Ultimate Warrior? I said, no, it can't be the Ultimate Warrior. He wouldn't be here. I wasn't saying he was an alcoholic or anything. I just couldn't believe he was there. I was so excited. It couldn't be true. It would be like some kind of magical unicorn being there. My dad said, look at his jacket. It says the Ultimate Warrior. He was wearing that white team jacket and it said the Ultimate Warrior on it. It was white with red lettering. I said, no, it can't be him, can't be him. My dad said, look at his boots. The Ultimate Warrior was still wearing his The Ultimate Warrior wrestling boots. They were these big white boots and they had little cutout warrior masks embroidered on the side. The only thing the Ultimate Warrior was missing was his face paint. He didn't have his face paint on. But this man was wearing wrestling boots, and he was wearing a white Ultimate Warrior jacket. He had that long Ultimate Warrior hair. It was clearly the Ultimate Warrior. I didn't believe it, but it was true. So I mustered up all my courage, and I wanted him to sign something. The only thing I had was a coloring book. Coloring books were big in the 90s because we didn't have tablets and such when we were going on airplanes. We had to have coloring books and stuff like that. And I brought my coloring book over to him. And I said, "Hello, Mr. Ultimate Warrior. I'm one of your biggest fans. Could you please sign this for me? Can I have your autograph?" And he signed it. He said, "Feel the power of the Ultimate Warrior." I was so excited. I went back to my table. I was on cloud nine. I had just met my idol. He signed my coloring book. Little did I know that the Ultimate Warrior had probably been drinking all night as he was at an airport bar. It was 8:30 in the morning. He must have been just wrecked. He was still in his wrestling gear, which was odd and surreal, but it was really kind of how you picture meeting a wrestler when you're 9 years old and they're your favorite wrestler. You picture they probably always go around dressed as their wrestling outfit character. You know? But I actually had a good experience, and he signed my coloring book. And then I went to the bathroom. When I went to the bathroom, the waitress told my parents, "I can't believe he signed that coloring book. He tells people to F off all the time. You're really lucky." And I'm just picturing, imagine me at 9 years old if I told the Ultimate Warrior, I said, "Can you please sign my coloring book?" Imagine if he had told me to F off. I think I would have all kinds of problems. I probably never would have gotten over it. I would have gotten over it, but I'd be more of a broken person, meeting your idol and then him telling you to F off at 9 years old. I kept that coloring book for as long as I can remember. I kept it for as long as, well, until my mom threw it away during the spring cleaning of 2000 and something. But she can vouch that this story happened.
It's true, Andrew met the Ultimate Warrior at the airport bar in Detroit.
I hope you enjoyed one of my remarkable yet true stories. Tell me in the comments, have you ever met your idols? Did you meet them when you were young? Did you have a good experience? Was it a terrible experience? Was your idol just a terrible person? Anyway, until then, good night. Good morning. Tell me good afternoon. Tell me good evening. Tell me good night. Tell me good morning. Tell me good afternoon. Tell me good evening.